What's going on? Move the mouse here. Back in City Skylines, the town of Rockdale. Things have been coming along pretty nicely. It's episode 7. In the last episode, we got to see some improvements to the industrial zone, and actually let's hit play and make sure that everything kind of took there. So we worked on these new off and on ramps for the area. We can see here that we've got traffic coming off in this direction, coming off in the other direction. And then we were able to, in fact, let's speed this up 3 times. We're able to see that by alternating left and right hand exits, it forces the traffic into different lanes and stops that horrible congestion problem we saw in the city. Or rather, I should say, saw backing up onto the highway. Then getting out of the zone, same sort of thing, is we've got cars that are merging here, tons and tons of traffic coming on, but it seems to be moving along nicely. And then if any cars go on getting this way, it's because they're exporting goods out of the city. We don't see too many cars heading that way just yet, but when we buy those tiles, we'll see more traffic. One of the reasons this was successful was because up here we did that left-hand exit. So traffic that wants to get into the city is going off into the left here. Now we are getting a bit of a backup here, so we may have moved one problem area over to another, but we could start to shift this around a bit with some one-ways to drive traffic away from this initial intersection. And that is something I might explore later if we start to see a backup on the highway, and what do you know? So right now, you know, that's kind of our next problem spot, but at least we've got our industry functioning well. And this was one of the toughest things that I dealt with in one of the last maps I built, was getting, you know, the traffic flow around industry is fine. Like, this is a great system. Where that system falls apart is potentially on the highway, and you can see that, you know, it goes through waves. But this is going to be our next problem spot. So we're going to have to find an easy way to get people in and out of here. And I think maybe blowing away this middle block and having this be a one-way going down, a one-way coming back up. You know, we can do some interesting things with it, but we're going to have to shift the city services around to do that. So it's always a good time to, when you're first sitting down to play, to pause and take maintenance. So if we bring up the icon over here, we had one person that was complaining about noise pollution over here, and I was a little concerned that having the the leisure specialization next to the residential might be an issue. And it was this guy, like right over here in the blue house, the greenhouse, I'm not sure, but they were complaining, and I thought, well, that's weird. One guy's complaining about noise. What does he live next to? And it turns out he lives next to 3 nightclubs called 5 a.m. So they're partying all night on the rooftops, making tons of noise and making this guy, unfortunately, noise sick. So we'll keep an eye on that as well, how that's affecting things. But for right now, nobody seems to be complaining. Let's see where our noise pollution is. So we've got industry, which is always a big noise polluter, but it's only affecting industry. We've got commercial affecting residential areas. This is standard commercial. The dark red buildings, those are your leisure specializations. So those are all the nightclubs and stuff. And those create a ton of noise. So maybe we could look into our neighborhood structure and make some buffer blocks. You know, make a block of trees here. Move people out of the immediate area surrounding, you know, this central block of noise. So it's one thing we can consider for sure. We'll keep an eye on that. If it really becomes a problem, we can worry about it. I want to pause real quick because I can't believe I made it this far and forgot about one of the most important basic policies, and that is recycling. So we have all these dump sites filling up, also recreational use, also very important. But specifically around recycling, we have all these garbage sites that are filling up, and I was putting incinerators all over, and then it occurred to me I haven't enabled recycling. So recycling reduces the amount of garbage that piles up in your cities, so you won't have this constant problem of dump sites filling up. Now we can empty these in the meantime, since they're no good to us anyways. It will get a bunch of dump trucks on the road, but if we've got full dump sites, they're not doing anything for us. We could go the quick route and sinkhole them, but right now they're very close to our power plants, so that is a very risky move. So we'll just go the route of having the trucks empty them the good old-fashioned and legit way. But this is, yeah, this is definitely an area that we're going to want to look at. And maybe that's what we could focus on today, is a new route, a new way to get in and out of the highway here. So what we could do, let's pause this, because we've got residential demand creeping up. We've got commercial demand creeping up, and we've had this industrial demand for, I think, 3 episodes now. So let's pause it for a minute. We've got a ton of money in the bank. We can afford to do some upgrades and modifications here. So let's change some things around. We'll go into our roads. We'll go specifically into our 6-lane roads. And just to identify them a little bit better and beautify our town, I want to upgrade these roads, and specifically this road and this road, the one that is on either side of this neighborhood in the center, because the highway dumps off to this intersection right here, and I want to give people easy ways to get the heck out of here with limited traffic. So we're going to upgrade this avenue, and to distinguish it from the other 6-lane avenues, we're going to use the tree streets here. And that's just going to kind of force traffic down through our city. And we can do the same thing coming up and out. So all the traffic on this road is going to be going up this way. There's always routes to get where people need to go. But that's going to help our traffic flow a little bit better. Now, let's do the same thing on the exit. This is going to move a bunch of people out, but we can deal with that. We will do the same thing over here. Bring traffic in. And now, here's the thing that we need to consider is, how do our services get around here? How do we minimize the traffic on this street, or do we even have this cross street here? I'm not sure just yet. Because if you want stuff to really flow coming off the highway, you could one-way in every direction. But then there's no way for a services vehicle. Well, technically there is a way for a service vehicle to get to that block, because they could come up here, they could take the roundabout, they could come back on, and then they could turn left. So if we want to make getting off the highway smooth, which is our big problem right now, we could do this. It's a little clunky, but it works. Now we could also extend and do a one-way all the way around the city, but I'm not sure I want to do that yet, just yet. Let's see what our zoning looks like. So let's use the fill tool. Let's de-zone this. Anything that's on these roads right by the highway, right where all the noise is anyways, we can go with the high density stuff. We'll put a little high density commercial spot there, there, and there. Get that one little pocket right there. So we'll see. We do have commercial demand, so that should build right back up, and it is accessible to everybody. Before we hit play, though, let's just make sure we didn't create any loops that make it... Man, that noise. The highway is really noisy, too, so we could put some barriers up. We've got some serious noise problems, and I think what we'll end up doing is we expand the residential out. Again, we'll probably turn this into a block of trees on the edge of each neighborhood, or at least the half that is facing immediately on this side of the street, closest to the noisy leisure spots in town. But let's look at our traffic spots first. So this was a bad traffic spot. Highway not great, industry not great, but again, that comes and goes, and it's all dependent on people getting backed up on this highway. So hopefully this will improve things quite a bit. Let's bring up our intersections, because we changed some streets around. So this I'm happy with. They have a stop sign coming that way. We want to get rid of this traffic light over here so that cars just get off of this road. They get off this thing that's backing up onto the highway. Cars coming from other directions, we can cause them to stop. I have those one-ways going the wrong way. So I need to reverse the road there. just for this flow around this central block. So that should be good now. It should be going out on the right, coming in on the left. Everything looks good there. Let's hit play on that for a minute and see how that helps, if at all, the traffic down here. I'm hoping it will help move things a little bit better coming into the city. Again, if we had to, by making this a one-way as well, it means that there's absolutely no reason for anybody to stop here, because all the traffic is just moving away from that intersection. It's definitely speeding things up a bit. Let's see if we can improve it even more. So we'll go into the upgrade tool and we'll upgrade these to one-ways as well, at least to get here. That screwed up my dump trucks a bit. I don't know where they were going, but not that way. Okay, so that should help us out a lot. It does look like things are moving along nicely. Traffic is just pouring off this intersection, which is good. Oh, shoot. I just realized, though, that 100% breaks that bus route, doesn't it? How does that bus route look now? This is going to be a mess. It's going all over the place. The green line does not work with that. All right, we'll revert that back. We'll deal with it for now and make that a project for another time. But that, again, is something to consider. Like, you have bus routes, you have service vehicles, just all kinds of stuff that can be affected by this. So we'll change our main streets to the tree-lined streets. Oh, I'm on change direction tool. That's great. We want to be on the upgrade tool. That wasn't helping anybody out. But we will keep these two streets on either side. Flowing along. It looks like we've got some trucks cutting through now. So what we'll want to do there is create a heavy traffic ban for our residential areas. It's okay if they go to commercial areas, but we don't want them traversing our residential neighborhoods. So let's paint out some districts and see if we can solve that problem. At least cover all the streets, the residential streets. We don't need to cover those side streets. We want to make sure we're not covering those side streets at all. They can use the avenues, that's just fine. I'll go back in and de-district. We're gonna have to make these separate districts, aren't we? Anywhere there's a 6-lane road, we don't want to affect heavy traffic. Everywhere else, though, we do. We don't want them using those residential neighborhoods that we set up. No, I don't want you connecting. Seriously? We change the size of this tool? I like how they did it better with the landscaping tools. I was kind of trying to use it like a landscaping tool. I don't want this to connect. I just want this. Oh, man. I guess as long, I'm being a little nitpicky here, as long as it covers the streets. The residential streets in these areas. That's all. Why? Why do you want to snap across the street like that? That's so stupid. Okay, so as long, again, as we're covering those streets, let's see if this actually solves our problem here. The first block we can get a little crazy. The second block over, we've got to be a little bit tighter with our selection, but I think as long as it hits any of these roads, it's going to prevent the trucks from going in here. Delete that. We don't really care about the names either now. We can give names to each one of the neighborhoods at some point, and in fact, you've got an idea for them? Let's take stock and see how many neighborhood names we're going to need. Maybe we can get some in the comments down below. It would be appreciated. Got a lot of ideas, but if anybody's got an idea to theme these districts, each neighborhood basically is going to need its own name. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can keep Kent Park in the middle, but if you want to name the residential districts, let me know down in the comments below if you've got any ideas. But for now, we're just going to do it to this side of the residential area. Okay, so that's okay. So now, inspector tool. Districts, and we got to do a bit of clicking here. So policies, city planning, heavy traffic ban. And that will keep the heavy traffic off of all those side streets, which is exactly what we want. I mean, that's why we designed it. But when we started making those one-ways, now the AI gets a little confused and it thinks, oh, I have a faster path. Rather than going all the way down the block and around, I can get in through the residential neighborhoods, and we don't want that. They have enough problem with all the noise from the nightclubs, so see if we can help them out a little bit and at least keep the trucks and congestion off of their streets. Okay. So that should fix us up over here. Let's see. Let's just take a quick peek. All the dump trucks. Go get that garbage. Now the dump trucks are not affected by the heavy traffic ban. City service vehicles are not affected by that. So it's just the trucks. And the trucks honestly need to go to industry to drop stuff off. Industry to pick stuff up and drop off. They might take stuff off the map or to the cargo terminal once we put one in. Or they need to deliver it to commercial zones. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. I'm going to have to do something here. But this just isn't going to scale well. This is going to be... We've definitely solved our problem over here. This is a good thing. Like, we can solve it. And we solved it for a little bit by putting this exit on the left and snaking it under the highway, but it's just too much traffic coming into the city and backing up all right here. Let's see if... Did I recreate the traffic light when I did that? I did. So let's do that. Let's get people off the highway and force the side streets to stop. Same thing here. We'll do the side streets to stop. Let people get out of the city. Stop signs at the side streets. Go clean this up later. That's a main avenue, so we'll just let that rip. Looks like we missed a road direction. But we'll fix that. And we'll see how that does. Now, we got people moving out because there's unemployment. Because we don't have enough industry space. So we could look at that over there. We could pop up some new commercial space. And in fact, so this is just a very small thing I did off camera, I created two 45-degree angles so we could start to bring things off on a little bit different angle from what's happening over there. And I thought we could have some shopping, some commercial, some stuff like that over here. There is enough commercial demand where if we build this out, it should fill up pretty quick. So let's go into our straight road tool, see if we can find a good snap point that's a little far away from that intersection. We will come out 11, because 11 makes us overlap just as little as possible. And we'll come all the way back there. Let's do the same thing right here. Let's see if that lines up correctly. That the one it's looking for? It's not quite right, so let's just go over 10, and we'll see if we can get a snap point better in a moment. It wants to snap to that 45-degree angle. I don't want it to. I'd like to go right there. Thank you. And as close as we can without building over anything. That is a road right to your backyard. And we will do that. So there's a tiny little bit of a gap there, but that's not that big of a deal. That's certainly fine. We'll break out our zoning tool. We'll do some more high density I always want to say residential, high density commercial here. So we'll let some businesses move in this little pocket. And then what I thought maybe we could do is we have a little office park. So let's build out another road zone over here. We'll pull the trick that we kind of did in the residential neighborhood. So to kind of minimize some of our intersections, we're just going to zone just shy of that other zone over there. And same thing here. We'll come all the way down, but we'll look to connect these maybe with some side streets too. We don't want it to be too mechanical. Even just some streets on the end like that may not be bad. Connect these through too. I don't think we can connect these because... No way. Okay, now you all have easy road access on both sides of your buildings. That's fantastic. So let's office park this. So we'll give a spot for the more highly educated workers to come work here off to the side of the city. So there's a lot of commercial. We can double check our education. As long as our education is up, they can get jobs here just fine. We still have that industrial demand, but we may be able to meet the unemployment problems as long as people are educated enough for some of the office space. So we're starting to build into the hills here, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how these buildings start to stack up around here. I definitely want to fill in this space of this tile, kind of work with some of the land a bit. I did smooth out just a little bit this ridge line, but for the most part we're going to just continue working with the ground that we're given. If we need to shift things around a little bit, we can still dump soil up here, or maybe even up on that mountain, and maybe even make it a bigger peak. But let's break out our water while we hit the play button, and let's water this zone. Third loan. I love they give you the third loan by the time you probably don't need that much money. Certainly not as much of a battle at this point. We're sitting at 1.8 right now, which is nice, but when we do go to start dropping in those unique buildings in preparation for our monuments, it goes fast. In fact, that's one thing that I did want to do, is start to drop in some unique buildings, find some spots for that, you know, brighten it up with some parks, bring in some tourists. But let's see how this has us all covered now. So that is pretty good. That has our water covered. We may need to run some power over there. We'll bring a rather long extension cord across the street here. I have to D-zone a little pocket of that, unfortunately, for right now. But that should have us covered. Let's look at our fire, health. So fire coverage definitely drops off over here. We could do that. We could do police headquarters right on the other side. I don't know exactly where we're going to expand to from here, so you know, this just kind of puts it far away from the others, so hopefully we'll have a decent overlap. Not that we need it officially. We'll throw in a little healthcare. And then those should be watered. We've just got to get a little bit more power over to this corner for now, just to borrow some. Again, we'll run an extension cord right over here. Connect those buildings up. As this starts to fill out, we'll do another metro loop kind of on this office park and commercial area. I want to see kind of how we can build into this area too, though. Before I metro that up, I want it to be, you know, decent enough and packed enough before we bother with it. Okay, $1.7 million. Let's start finding a spot for some unique buildings. So some of these parks are pretty easy to get at. But where do we want them? So they have a small noise pollution bubble. We could throw them where there already is noise pollution. Although it doesn't look like it'll fit there next to my rail system. We could kind of throw them like in the middle of some of these neighborhoods. Actually not a bad spot. I mean, again, there is noise pollution, but there's also a pretty decent happiness bubble that comes along with these. Could I have centered that better, or was that rotated that way? No, it's just going to be a little bit off center, and we've got a tiny little house that moved in next door. So that is our first unique building. Just spread them out a little bit. We don't need commercial space right now, so rather than D-zone any more residential, we could D-zone some commercial. You know, people who are at the office might want a nice place to relax and have lunch. So let's put that kind of here on this central avenue. Statue of Industry. Well, we know where that goes. Let's put that, can we put that kind of on the entrance to the industry area? I mean, I guess there's no other way out, so you can see this guy on the way out of town. It works. We've got our Statue of Wealth. Where are we light on coverage? Kind of in the middle of this area here. We're moving out some people, but we're making the ones that we didn't bulldoze very happy. And then this one I unlocked since the last one, which is a meteorite strike. So we'll place it just to place it for now. And if we have a meteorite hit our town, we will mark the spot and leave the devastation so that people can remember what happened to the poor citizens that had a rock drop on them at 8 million miles an hour. I'm sure it goes quick, but it's still a shame. So those are all of our level 1 buildings. We're still sitting at $1.7 million. We could throw in some more buildings. But I kind of want to expand down to the ocean. I kind of want to expand over there to the right. I almost regret buying this tile now, because I do want to do maybe some ore and some farming over there. But I'm not sure about the shape of the tiles that I'm locking in. Do I want to, you know, go build some lakefront property? It might be really cool to get some houses up on top of that ridge. But I think for right now, before we drop in any more buildings, it would make sense to look at this area next. Because this gives us another pretty flat spot to build. It's kind of a big rolling hill. It's not totally flat all the way across. But this is a fantastic place to put like another interchange way over here towards the edge of the map. Bring people into a city over here, maybe connect it across with trains and metro. So we can definitely have some fun with that. There's some good things that we can do here. The industry needs have dropped off. Let's take a look at our industry statue. Very stoic. Things are moving along nicely over here. Definitely a future project is a major reconsideration of this. One thing that might help quite a bit is if we bring this highway down to the south of the city and give people another entrance to and from the highway on this side of town. That might help alleviate some of that traffic that we're seeing over here. Of course, the trucks are still going to want to come from industrial to deliver to the commercial zones. But if we can get the residents, you know, and some of the other vehicles kind of at least taking some of these other paths around the city, that might help. Oh, I did lay this one this one bit of train track to see if it would fit nicely along the shoreline, and I kind of like where it's sitting. But we're gonna have to bring it back around under the highway or something. I don't know where we're gonna go with that yet, but I do want to connect this this train up at one point. But I think the next episode is going to be dropping an interchange way up here and then doing another small city, and maybe we'll get a little bit funky with it. We won't do such a grid, but we'll keep some of those same principles in place. But we need to meet the commercial and residential demand. We want to keep growing. We've got to give people places to live, and unfortunately we're pretty strapped right here. So maybe what we could do is, you know, fill this in with some more offices over here and then spin another residential neighborhood over here by the highway. That might be another little interesting thing, have a pocket of people over here, but that I think is only going to contribute to our traffic problem. So still lots of ideas, still lots of things we can do, but the best thing we can do next is kind of space ourselves out, come down here, interchange down into a new city area over here on the other side of the river. Maybe expand some farming and industry needs up there. But I've really got to solve, sorry for panning the camera around like a nutcase. I've really got to solve this problem here before we double what's happening over here. Because this exit into the city is backing up the trucks here. If that exit wasn't a problem, we could potentially double our industry space over here. But I'm not prepared to do that until we really address the problems that are happening over there on the highway. So we'll probably start to build out over here on the next episode. Maybe ignore that highway problem for a little bit. We'll keep an eye on our garbage situation, which is an ever-present problem here. Because I enabled recycling way too late. But if you've got some ideas at this point, for those of you that saw in the comments or in the description of the video, I recorded all 7 of these episodes over just a day or two, honestly, maybe 3 days, because I'm going to be super busy at work next week. So I was going to space these out, post them all privately, and then basically make them available one day every week to kind of, you know, drip feed some content, if you will, because people did want to see more of the kind of let's play scenario and kind of watch this all happen live on the fly. So I haven't been able to see your comments before recording any of these videos. So if you made it this far in the series, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the channel. Love the comments, love that I'm helping some of you out there discover some new tips and tricks and ways to build things. But this is the first episode that will be posted before I've recorded the next one. So I'm actually going to be able to read the comments on this episode 7 before I go back and record episode 8. So if you've got any ideas, anything that you want to see in the city, if you've got, district names that you want to suggest for our residential, or really any of them really, if you've got any fun names that you want to throw into the map, let me know. I'll give you a shout out. Anything that you want to see, kind of more of, less of, I'm always up for ideas on what to throw in the content, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. It's just fun to kind of share ideas, and I really enjoy the comments on the City Skylines video so far. So again, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. That's it for episode 7. Depending on how the next week goes, I may be able to post some more content up, but I'm still kind of torn between a lot of different games, being really busy at work. But City Skylines has just been a ton of fun, and it's relaxing, and for some of you, educational and informative, and I really appreciate that. It's the content that I like to do most, probably. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel a lot. If you disliked it, go ahead and hit the dislike button, but let me know why in the comments. Give me an idea of why you disliked the video. Chances are, though, you didn't make it this far if you disliked it, so I may be preaching to the choir, as they say. Subscribe if you're new here, because we do all kinds of great game videos all the time. But until the next one, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.